I'm excited to share some significant updates to zForm. You can now use a video or a directory of images and view in Blender's native timeline. That's what I'm going to cover today and show you how to use these new features. I want to give a shout out to CGMatter for being an early adopter of depth to video. About a month ago, he published a video on how to generate depth maps for video. It was a helpful resource in developing the feature inside of zForm. I'll be leaving a link if you want to check it out. One important step to use the new features is you have to have a version of zForm that's at least 2.0 or higher. All you have to do is uninstall the previous version and install the new one. Alright, let's get started. You'll see 3 tabs at the top now for image, video, and directory. The image tab is exactly the same experience as what we've had in the old version, whereas video and directory are entirely new. That being said, the UI is almost exactly the same as image with a few new features. Let's start out with video. The first thing you're going to do is open up the video. In this case, I have this video here. I'm going to play it so I can show you what it looks like. Okay. And then the next thing is your depth map. In this case, it does indeed need to be a video as well. And it'll look something like this here. I generate depth maps using my own tool called Depth Map Batch. You can generate depth maps for a directory of images, a video file, or a single image. But you can totally generate depth maps online for free if you upload one at a time, or set up a local environment and something like Comfy UI where it can generate depth maps for a video file as well. You know what? There's one more thing I want to show you. So if you go in the Render tab and then scroll all the way to the bottom, under Color Management, change it from AGX to Standard. This will help with visibility in the Material Preview section. Now going back to the UI, in the video settings, you have 3 inputs, one for start frame, end frame, and frame step. The main ones you want to look at is start frame, end frame. And you can also adjust Blender's timeline. Let me expand this out. So I'm going to go to 110 on the end frame here. Okay, let me move this down again. Everything below the video settings is exactly the same before. We've got our mesh view for front, side, and top. Our subdivision, I've got this set at 8. The smooth factor, I have it set at 2. The depth strength of 0.8 and thickness I've got set to 0. Then you have your material properties and then apply depth and apply all modifiers. So I'm going to click apply depth. And here's our mesh for the first frame of the video. To view each frame of the video, you have a few options. You can press your keyboard, your right and left, to move frame by frame. You can also use the right and left arrow here where I'm doing right and left, or you can press spacebar on your keyboard to play the video automatically like this here. Let's take a look at this in solid mode. I'm going to move down the timeline. So this is in solid mode. I'm going to press play. You'll notice some inconsistency in the mesh frame by frame for a video. That's one of the challenges right now with using depth maps for video is the depth estimation frame by frame might vary. For my video, when looking at the material preview section, it's fine, but I do know there are plenty of videos that you will see that inconsistency. The technology will get better for these depth map models as they progress, but it is a current challenge. One other thing that can improve the quality of the video results is using 16-bit instead of 8-bit. Now I want to show you the little trick. You see that top area that's a little bit annoying, it kind of collapses over. We're going to hide that in the mesh. So the first thing we're going to do is press tab to go into edit mode. Then in the top right, there'll be a correct face attributes. Let's check that on. Next is select the top 2 vertices. Then on your keyboard, press GZ and then go down. I'm going to go down just a little bit and then press tab to get out. And we've hit that top area. The very last thing I want to cover about videos is the apply all modifiers. If we go to the modifiers tab on the right, which I will expand out right here, you'll see these are all the modifiers that we're using for the mesh. And currently it's in a non-destructive mode. But if we apply all modifiers, which I'll show you right now, all the modifiers are gone. Let me go into solid mode and then press play. You'll see that the mesh does not change. We went from a non-destructive mesh to destructive, meaning that we can't make any changes after that. So just keep that in mind when you apply all modifiers to a video. Now hop into the directory section. I'm going to delete everything in the scene by pressing A and then delete. Then click on the Open Directory tab. Find a directory that you have several images you want to use in the timeline to convert to 3D mesh. This is going to be my directory here. I'm going to click Load Directory. Next is we open up a directory that has all of our depth maps for those individual images. What's really important in this step is the file name needs to match the original images, and it has to have underscore depth at the end. So the original image is named 1129, and then the depth map for 1129 is underscore DEPTH. So it needs to have both criteria, otherwise it won't work. Then click Accept. In the sequence settings, there's start frame, end frame, and frame step, very similar to the video settings. And then everything after that is exactly the same as the other UIs. Given everything below the sequence settings is exactly the same as the other tube tabs, let's just go all the way down to the bottom and click Apply Depth. All right, so here's our 3D mesh. I'm going to move up the Blender timeline a little bit. Press the right arrow to go through each sequence. It will go through each image in the directory and one frame per image. I found this to be really useful, particularly if I have a lot of different images. The last thing I want to talk about in the directory functionality is just like the video section, if you click Apply All Modifiers, it will turn from a non-destructive to a destructive mesh, meaning you won't be able to change everything after that. I hope you like the new features. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me on Blender Market. All right, that's about it.